Hi everyone, my name is Oz and today I'm with Laura Beatty.
Hello.
Laura is one of the most skilled SEO professional that I've known for more than 10 years, or more. So if I have an SEO question or SEO future, that's the person I go to. Tell us a little bit more, tell the audience what you do.
Thank you, Oz. It's really nice to be here. My background is in organic search. So primarily, we're helping people get found in search engines and increasingly in AI and LLM engines through organic discovery based off of the quality and the reputation of their content rather than by spending ad dollars in order to get found. And so that usually has a lot to do with a couple factors. And so we help to make sure that our clients understand both what they're targeting, what their opportunities are, and how to accomplish.
And I feel that's, we're very similar because we have we do SEO, but behind that iceberg, we have all the things that we do.
Right.
All we do is problem solving and organics. And we do all those things because it's a lot of work behind that stage, but then to come in and present it so it makes sense. And it's like, you do what? But bottom line, you're aligning that to be people to be found.
Exactly. And we're helping, people rely on traditional marketing principles to be prepared for where the future of discovery is going.
Yeah.
Because sound good marketing principles and research really are timeless.
Yeah. So today I kind of want to invite you here to talk about, really what SEO is. I think there's a lot of misconceptions since the beginning of what it was. A lot of people, what I remember is they think they're tricking Google. And it's funny that we just say SEOs for Google. No, there's a lot more out there. And now with where we are right now with LLMs, or AI as optimization, I think it's called GEO.
And, you get a lot of different acronyms. So some people are saying AEO, some are saying GEO, Generative Engine Optimization, or AI Engine Optimization. But really, they're all just branches off of search optimization. There are different ways that people are searching and discovering content.
Okay. Do you think it's the same thing with the new coat of paint, or we're dealing with a different type of beast here?
Well, I think just like we've evolved in the search experience over time, where we've introduced images and we've introduced maps and we've introduced video. I think that this is a new evolution in how we're going to experience the landscape. I don't expect one to completely overtake the other, and I don't expect either of them to completely go.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to know you. How did you end up in SEO?
My background was definitely not in SEO.
Okay.
I had gone to school for a music degree. I had a background in performance. I was, doing the after college rounds. I'd worked in the music industry a little bit.
San Diego?
Yeah. And I didn't have, I didn't have a permanent day job, but I was doing a lot of teaching and a lot of gig work as a musician.
Yep.
And so I was trying to find something to help pay the bills and applying different places. And I got hired to do link building in about 2004 here in La Jolla.
2004 here in La Jolla.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I started working on travel affiliate websites. And that was where I started to learn about search engine optimization. And I found it to be really interesting and really exciting.
What's one thing that you found?
At the time, I just thought it was kind of cool to get paid to look at websites all the time.
Okay.
But it was learning about how websites worked and how the back end of Google worked. At the time, we had what was called PageRank. And so we spent a lot of time doing link exchanges to try to influence PageRank in Google. And we were quite successful at that.
Did you get a rush the first time you said you had a theory? It's like, okay, I'm going to do this link. I have this plan. And then I don't know if it's going to work, but you did, and something worked.
Yeah, we had a big acquisition of a domain that was already pretty strong, and we built that out into a bunch of new domains and had built that site out. and it became really powerful and worked very quickly, especially with our link building backgrounds. So it was cool to see that whole path and progression of taking a property that had been underserviced, underserved, and not really leveraging its full potential and taking it to the heights that it could actually achieve.
When did you commit, say, you know what, I'm going to do SEO? Or when did you say, I would put the badge on it?
I think it was only a couple of years into it where I was pretty hooked on it, you know? At first you figure you'll go back to the thing that you started with, but I found it really interesting. I liked how it took analytical skills along with interpretive skills. So I was really into content writing. I did a lot of content writing early on for the websites. So that has a lot of influence over how Google sees your content, sees your relevance.
Right, to see the relevancy. Do you still, like back then, copywriting it still is very important. Was that like a key factor for anyone entering SEO? Because you have SEO, you need to the H1s, the body, all that stuff. And then the link building to make sure it's relevant and how deep it is in the keyword, that kind of stuff. So how important was it for you copywriting back then?
Copywriting helped out a lot with being able to do good SEO. But I'd say it doesn't need to be that everyone has to be a great copywriter to enter SEO. I've seen people enter SEO from multiple angles and multiple strengths and learn to round out some of those strengths as well. There's room for technical people. There's room for analytical people. There's room for user experience style people, because really SEO is kind of a team sport. It can leverage a lot of different knowledge, discipline, and collaboration to get the best results.
Yeah. I remember I entered SEO and I think it was a podcast with Rand Fishkin and somebody, and then Avinash Kaushik with the analytics. And I fell in love with it and I started doing it. I really liked it, but then I divorced it. Like we just don't jive anymore, that's it. And then we parted ways. But then I went into AdWords and PPC, and it's very similar. They share some similarities with it, but I still can go in and understand it, but it's not something that, I would do anymore or that kind of stuff, because it's changed so much and it's a different read. One of the key things was link building. I think that's where the conflict started in that thing. And help me understand, and maybe educate me if I'm wrong, but I see link building similar to PR.
Absolutely. Link building should be more similar to PR, and where people got it wrong and where the systems of old, where we used to do a lot of link building with just outreach and directories and reciprocal links or triangular link programs. Like, I'll give you a link if you give me a link.
Give me a link. Well, what's your page rank? Like,
Google started to be able to understand that and deep value those kinds of relationships. And so really in the current landscape, it's a lot less about trying to game the system and a lot more trying to make sure that you have the placements in the places that are actually influential for your topic, for your audience, and that makes sense contextually for you to be there. And a lot of times I also tell my clients to think about link building as far as digital shelf space.
Digital
shelf space. A lot of times, based off of the query that you're looking for, you're not going to be a natural fit to show up at the top of the results, but somebody else might. And if you're able to have a conversation with that publisher, tell them why you should be included in their coverage, that's a really good press contact for you. Those people that are appearing at the top, and maybe you can get included in their coverage if you have a smart angle and a good pitch.
And I feel that's one of the, call it fallacies of how people understand it. SEO. One, like you said, is, I lost my train of thought. But one of the fallacies was like the expectations of what it is, right? SEO is not tricking the system. Right. Because, I'm going to put, how many keywords do I need to put in to be number one? And then that leads to the second one, which it would be like I get from clients that I remember is like, I'm searching myself and I don't find myself in the first three. Why? like, and to your point is it's not because of volume and it's the impact that you want where it's meant. So it takes me to vanity keywords or vanity, long tail.
Right.
What kind of misconception do you think people have now in 2026?
Well, now in 2026, one of the big misconceptions is keywords do matter or don't matter, right? And I'd say it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Understanding keywords and search volume gives you a really good idea of where your funnel might start. Your high volume keywords are going to be informational. They're going to have that introductory query. They're going to trigger, in today's landscape, a lot of impressions, but not that many clicks, right?
When they're window shoppers or bots, what do you think about it?
No, it's because AI overviews is so good at returning the response that you get the answer in the search engine without having to click through to the website for the answer any longer.
And that's because of the Gemini AI versus the links below. Got it.
So Google's providing a snippet of information. They used to just be search snippets. Now it's being automatically generated with their AI overviews for kind of that same effect that they used to use just search snippets for. So those have gotten so robust that a lot of people are just getting their answer right there. And that's satisfactory without having to take another step or do another action.
I see.
And then what happens is if you look in AI engines, what you'll get is what's called a fan out of the query, right?
Okay.
So people don't just stop at one keyword or one question. They naturally have a series of follow-ups.
Queries.
And so as a business, you want to be thinking about how do I introduce myself to the high volume things, knowing that I probably won't get a lot of clicks. Then what comes next for my consideration? What are the natural next questions that somebody will ask related to this?
So for example, somebody, let's say supplements, right? The vitamin supplements or supplements, they're not looking specific to supplement. They're looking, what are the most organic supplements that I can look for in the market or top ranking things?
Yeah.
And then
most trustworthy supplement brands, right?
Yeah.
And so as a brand, I don't need to target supplements so much, but I need to be thinking about how do I show up when somebody's asking that second question of what supplements are most trustworthy that I should look at. And then after they've compared those supplement brands, what's the best value between these brands, right? So now the way that people are qualifying through the funnel is a lot more pointed. And if you can have those decision-making pieces of content to meet them at the right decision point, then you can convert people very easily.
Along the what you're driving me through that journey, a factor that comes in is trust, right? And I think that's something that the algorithm is getting better, but it's so human, you know, because if we see an ad, the trust level is very low. But if we see something organically, the trust level is like, okay, I'm going to click through and it's going to be a little bit better because, I'm searching or the type of question. How is it being leveled in SEO? Is it grabbing information from the amount of reviews or the neighborhood that the server lives in? Now that ranking scores out, like how is it now being leveled in the trust level for SEO in 2026?
That's really great question. And I think it's going to depend on the engine.
On the engine.
Right. So in Google, they've done a lot more in traditional search to have quality factors. And they've been really good at working all these quality factors in. But AI and LLM don't have kind of that same historical knowledge of how to factor out spam and kind of noisy signals.
Because in the back of my head, I think they grab their information from Reddit or Big Knowledge, like Quora, things like that.
Yes, they use a lot of user-generated content in order to surface up stuff. And they're oftentimes piggybacking off of actual Google search results or other search engine results to retrieve and analyze those results themselves, right? So they're doing real-time analysis of those search results. So a lot of times we'll see that the AI engines don't necessarily have the same quality factors and can let some things through that Google might not have historically let through. And we anticipate that those are going to get more stringent in the future, right? Those quality signals are going to get more important and worked in because people won't be satisfied with low quality results.
With all these updates, with all these things you need to keep up, how do you keep up? Like, there's updates all the time. There's like so many things. AI's changed so fast. How do you keep up with everything?
That's a great question. And I think part of it is being curious and being excited to learn, right? And not looking at it as a challenge, but as a exciting opportunity of how things are changing. So I know that it can be a little bit, sometimes feel like an abusive relationship for SEOs. That's why people will leave it behind.
No, and I was thinking about that, that's true, because maybe I wanted a little bit more faster iteration of what I'm doing, and PPC gives me that, like, oh, I'm going to do this ad, I'm going to do this creative, and I'm not going to get results in 2 weeks or something to see that conversion or whatever I'm looking for. And SEO, in the back of my head, remember, it takes up to 9 months to do an impact, but it lasts forever. Well, not forever, it lasts longer.
Or you've invested heavily in one kind of strategy, right? And the algorithm changes. And those kinds of results aren't surfaced the same way that they used to be. And you're not feeling the impact of those. What we see, though, is that people that continually commit to their SEO, I saw a former client get called out in a case study of how well that they're doing.
Nice.
And they said, this client was doing advanced redirect mapping at least 15 years ago with us. They have been investing consistently for decades in their SEO. It's not a surprise that they would see some positive bumps. So when you're doing the fundamentals, when you're doing them consistently, you may have your ups and downs, but more often than not, you're going to weather the storm of the extreme shifts in the landscape.
Because you have the fundamentals.
Because you have the fundamentals down.
And you driven down another layer, because I feel a lot of people think SEO is just keywords and doing the copy, that's it. But there's a lower level, which is the server level, right? The redirects, the 401s, that 404, the lost pages. Let's just take that offline. And then the map is all messed up, and then the crawler comes in and doesn't understand. So there's a lot of like digital hygiene that needs to be in the back end of SEO. And I feel people don't understand or miss that.
It's funny you say that, because when we were at Google last year, I was able to go on site to Google and have a chance to speak with some of the engineers there from the Google search team. And some of the lead SEOs were saying, hey, we've been doing this heavy lifting for Google for a long time to be kind of the janitors of the web, right? Like, we're going around helping people with their page speed, their core web vitals, their mobile experience that people didn't really care about until they thought it mattered for SEO, right? And so completely the case. You're absolutely right. There are all these back-end factors that matter. And what we're seeing is that they're mattering even more for where the world is going. As agentic search accelerates and people are going to be using assistants to help them with their searches, right?
Yep.
They're going to rely on some of this background data that SEOs have been advocating for, like schema markup.
Yeah.
That's going to be more and more important for agentic discovery. At the same time, agents aren't as, the AI crawlers aren't as good at doing things like rendering JavaScript as Google is. Like I said, Google's worked on their algorithm for a really long time. So they've gotten pretty good at rendering things like JavaScript. But there are some fundamental experiences that if you're not building them right, you could have big gaps in what
especially with
is
updates.
discoverable.
Yeah, I'll discover. Yeah, gotcha. It makes me think, I mean, what's the average lifespan of a website? Like, how much does it live? Because you can, let's say in 2005 or 2010, you do a website, HTML, then Joomla or WordPress comes in, and then that's a different thing. And now Squarespace, Wix, and all these things come in, and it's easy for anyone to make a website now.
I would say probably on average, I'm seeing clients, if not replatform, redesign every 2 to 3 years. So that's pretty frequent.
Yeah.
And sometimes it comes with leadership changes and people wanting to have a different platform. Sometimes it comes from realizing that they're in a theme that's heavy and they can't update it the way they want.
And then you have those two. That you have the back end, but then also leadership comes in, and then they want to impress with the front end.
Right.
New photo, new content, new make it pretty, new colors, everything.
We want a headless CMS.
But all this work that we've done down here is going to be messed up. I don't care. Take it offline. Oof.
Yeah.
And then crash.
And
I don't know what happened.
So we do a lot of website migration strategy, and that is a critical moment for businesses to make sure that they know where their strengths are, what's giving them power in the search engines, and how they can potentially do better in their new website.
So in this audit, you would go in and say, hey, if you move forward with this is what's going to happen, or forecast.
Yeah. And we usually start out with like a inventory so that we know what's strong, what's not. And then we work on the roadmap and the information architecture, both to give insights as what they could add to better meet their goals, right? We try to understand what the goals are for the business and say, hey, based off of the landscape, if you add this, you'll hit your goals better. So we can work with people to help make them good fundamental decisions to hopefully get better results than just, hey, we took some things away and did some redirects, and hopefully we don't lose anything too bad.
But eventually they do.
And usually there is some dampening effect because people lose pages. Redirects don't pass on 100% of the value of the page. Usually there's a little bit of a dip, and not all the external links are updated to match the new destination.
Where are we right now in SEO? You know, when changes comes in anything in life and patterns, right? There's a plateau, and there's a big change. There's chaos moving, and then it settled down, and then it's years for that. Where do you think, I know we're in a change, right? But where do you think we are right now in that? Is it going to plateau soon? There's more changes. There's still chaos. Where do you feel the pulse?
I think there's a lot more changes coming. Okay. And I think with agentic commerce, that's one of the biggest changes that we're going to be seeing, is people being able to have an agent check out and buy things for them, right? Like this is coming, it's imminent. Google's pushing Gemini connected and this connected shopping experience with AI.
And then there's Claw, right? The new Claw one that's an agent that does bookings for you and purchases. And
Claw, yeah.
And then Amazon's pushing also for buying and
100%. So these agentic commerce experiences are going to be really big in the future. And I think that's going to push another big wave of change and discovery. And I think that the landscape of discovery is going to change really dramatically. So I think as far as SEOs go, we hear a lot of people, rethinking how they're thinking about content distribution and what kind of content they're distributing, where they're distributing it, right? So that's a big change. And the other giant change that we see is that people are starting to think about their user experience a lot more consistently. So now that a click is so hard to get and so precious, are you making sure that that experience when they get to the site is doing the thing that it should be doing, and getting a lot more thoughtful and critical at those stages because it's so much more important. The stakes are so much higher.
You have the intent because it's, I would guess it's higher intent. Now they're reading, they're doing things that should, but pushing them into making a conversion.
Yeah.
It's still 2 or 3, well, it depends on the industry, 2 or 3 visits to convert into something, you know?
It definitely depends on the industry. We work with a lot of enterprise clients, right? Where it's hard to just get that first demo request because it's a very big ask, and there's not a lot of upfront pricing because they're large enterprise deals.
Level. Yeah, I work with, hospitality, hotels, or restaurants where it's a little bit more business to consumer, but I know their journey now. They're looking at the menu, they're looking at the reviews, they're making decisions, but it's pretty narrow when they're going to make a decision, and then they go to the store. But all in all, in SEO, I got a client that's opening new stores. It's a little bit of a headache, and please, they will build the site. They put the new location on site, but people start going in and say, no, take it offline.
Oh,
Exactly. And now I go, well, they put it back online, but we had all the systems placed, the media channel of purchase, and then I get flagged for Google for the site doesn't exist. And it's like, oh my God, okay, now I have to make an appeal and go through all these things. But yeah, even that, it says a lot.
yeah.
So it's educating also the clients and the developers that, hey, you have to follow these processes.
And you bring up another good thing is like a lot of businesses aren't looking at their consistency between touch points and making sure that people are able to retrieve the right information, that they get consistent messaging, and that it's really clear what the business does. So it's never a bad time to re-audit your own profiles and say, is it really clear what my business does? Am I pointing to the right things for my own profiles? Are they all talking to each other in the right way? And am I leveraging my own networks in a way that's really smart?
What has been, in your experience, what has been the most fulfilling SEO work you've done?
As I said, I really love to do migration projects. That's extremely fun for us because when we get to see, we had one client that changed their entire domain name.
Yikes.
And so I got to do, and they had tens of thousands of pages in their catalog that were dynamically created. And I got to go through and create smart rules for these
so
and
much work
on all this.
It.
And it's so fun to get into that deep strategy and know that you're helping people in a moment that's really important. I'd say some of the other really fulfilling work that we have done is around our content roadmaps and seeing those really start to come to life and start to push the needle for clients and close those ranking gaps that they have for keywords that they weren't performing for in the past and start to increase the traffic after they're put out. It can take a while to get content development off the ground, but once it starts running, it can be really, really rewarding.
Oh man, I feel, the adrenaline, the dopamine is like, ooh, it feels good just seeing that go up for sure. What are the three, I forgot to mention black hats and white hats and all that stuff. I love that term, but let's play with that. So what are three like positive white hat healthy things to do, and what are three big no-nos not to do with?
All right, that's a great one. So 3 healthy white hat things to do. One is to make sure all of your pages are well formatted with heading tag flow. It seems so basic, but it is so helpful both for users and for discovery engines, right? So bots that are discovering you. That structure of your page, your H1s, your H2s, your H3s,
they need to be structured.
They really, really help out with context, right? And prioritization of the content.
It struck to me, I remember that I love The Office, but one when Michael says the header of the paper would say, some companies know how to really do business. We are the best in the business. And the H1 is so long. So it reminds you of that. So it's kind of like along those lines says, hey.
It needs to be focused for the page, right? It doesn't need to be forever long, but it should be.
And not filled with keywords that you just want to.
And clear what the page's purpose is. Somebody gets to it and they can understand in an instant what this page is supposed to do, right? And leave them with clear understanding.
And what's number 2?
Number 2 would be don't overlook video. So to your point earlier, video is like a great discovery engine. YouTube's actually the second largest search engine in the world. And so video discovery is becoming a really powerful thing. Things like Google Notebook, which is an AI tool that can actually read your YouTube videos for you, right?
Because of the transcript.
Because of the transcripts. They've gotten extremely good at this. And so video is getting surfaced more frequently. YouTube's already a huge search engine. And by embedding content that's in different formats, you're able to serve different kinds of people who consume their content.
I see. And so it's not only putting the tags on your about and the video and all that, it's also the context. Like today we're talking about SEO, so the context is going to be SEO.
Right.
Got it.
And making sure that you have a description underneath your video that uses the right kinds of keywords that will pull people into your
that
video,
conversation.
right? And your title for your video.
I love to hear that, yes, because video is great. That's
Video
what
is
we
great.
We love film. And what's the third one?
The third one is to use Google Search Console. So Google Search Console is a free gold mine for anyone that wants to do organics.
Is this previously known as Google Webmaster?
It previously known as Google Webmaster, and it's free to set up. You just have to do a little verification file or record for your website, and then you'll get data back from Google telling you where you have errors, what kind of pages are getting traffic, what kind of keywords are helping you drive visibility. And this is really helpful.
Guide me to see what are the key differences, like I'm a 16-year-old, between Google Analytics and Google Webmaster for people to understand.
So Google Analytics is everything that happens when somebody's on your site. So it's a little bit more of someone came from here and then they did these things on my site, right? Versus Google Webmaster is what preceded them getting to your website. So you can get the information from Google Webmaster about the query itself and what somebody clicked on, but it's not going to give you anything about what happened with that session once they got there.
Okay, got it. Yeah, and then you can submit your XML map in there and all the good stuff.
You can get data back on, your structured markup. You can see where your 404 errors are coming in. There's a ton of data.
So it gives you a lot of honest feedback off
directly
your site.
From Google, and you can start to see what kind of content is getting traction and what kind of content might not be getting traction to really put you on the right path.
Okay. Can I ask you a question, put you on the spot?
Yeah.
Do you like the new Google Analytics dashboard and stuff?
Oh, no one likes the new GA4.
Okay. I hate it.
So,
I don't know why they did it.
I think people have gotten more used to it out of necessity. I think anybody that has to rely on GA4 should get really used to Looker to be able to help them pull data more.
Yes, why?
And visualize.
I always say that on purpose, but it's so frustrating. It's like, I don't know. It's like Windows did it. I don't know. Sorry. Anyway.
And for large sites, Looker may not do the trick, right? Because you might run into query limits.
But it answers the basic questions. Where did they come from? What did they do? And did it convert?
Exactly.
That's all I want to know.
You can create really useful dashboards out of Looker and not have to work so hard to go into GA4 and pull something.
It's very odd. But anyway, back to SEO. Thank you. What are the 3 no-nos, like really black hats?
Really black hat things. One of them is to do hidden text, and that is still really frowned upon. So there are lots of ways that people do hidden text on websites. Sometimes they'll have a div tag that's a display none. Sometimes they will put like black text on a black background, right? Yeah. So there's multiple ways that people can do those.
Like MySpace.
And in some cases, it still will work. People were saying they were finding really spammy sites and some of the AI engines as references, right? Again, because they don't oftentimes have some of those spam filters that Google's built over time. That being said, those can give you some short-term boosts. You usually will get kicked in the butt afterwards.
Eventually when they find out.
Yes.
Yeah,
and if any human editor comes through, they have a quality score raters for Google. If your quality score rater sees that, you'll definitely.
So there's actual human people going to a website and checking it out?
Yes. Okay. Historically, there have been. Now, I think they've had some updates to that recently. Don't quote me on that. There might be some changes in how they're
disclaimer right here or something. What's number 2?
Disclaimer. Number 2 is keyword stuffing, and especially now with latent semantic indexing, we don't have the same challenges with understanding keywords, right? There's an old joke: an SEO walked into a bar, pub, club, nightclub, right? We don't need to put all those keyword variations in right next to each other and keyword stuff and make it unreadable for humans. You want something that's super readable. You want it to be meaningful. And for the most part, search engines can understand when something is, they've got thesauruses just like the rest of us.
I see. What's the third one?
The third one that's really black hat that people are doing, I would say is...
Don't slap on the hand like, no, don't do that.
Trying to think. I have ventured so far away from black hat, it's hard for me to think of it.
Yeah, but I imagine you've gone into maybe an audit and you go, oh my God, no, no.
Yeah, I'd say maybe purchase links. So purchase link networks can be really toxic, and they can be spotted and they can get you hit with a penalty. Google has a whole set of warnings just for this. So if you get caught purchasing links in a link scheme, you can get hit with a manual penalty that then you have to show them, like, why is it that you got these links that were well, and what you're doing to make sure it never happens again. You get really
to come back from there. It's really, really hard.
Yeah. And this goes back for a long time that they've had this as a part of what they do, and why we look for only white hat backlink tactics, because it can be so damaging. And we saw brands like JCPenney get wiped off the map.
They did that? Wow.
When there were huge link networks back in the late 2000s that were heavily penalized.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. We're coming up to the end of the show, but I wanted to ask, where can they find you? How did they engage with you and follow you?
So to find me, our website's nobaddays.digital or nobaddaysdigital.com. We're a boutique agency here in San Diego, primarily focused on enterprise SaaS businesses. But we also work, like I said, on migrations, and always happy to talk to people from all different backgrounds. We've worked in hospitality.
So I was going to ask you, on the industry. So SaaS hospitality, I know you and I worked on that.
Yeah. Some of our past clients include MasterCard, Hard Rock Hotels International, and we've worked with a variety of different businesses. So look us up on our website or find us on social media.
And in No Bad Days, the services you offer is SEO and...
Primarily SEO, analytics. AEO, GEO, increasingly now, right? We also help with content development with clients, really the most complementary services for SEO.
Awesome. Well, final question is, who do you admire in the industry, or maybe in general, like the professional?
There are a ton of people I admire in the industry. One of them is Noah Lerner. He is the guy that founded the SEO community, which is an online group. And they have an awesome Slack channel that is for SEOs that want to participate in a community. It's free to join. And he also hosts a lot of meetups for people on like Clubhouse, where people can learn in real time. Love what he's doing.
That's awesome.
Brittany Mueller, she's been an absolute wonderful person to follow in the space. She's been leading a lot of AI innovation, leading AI courses for people that want to adopt AI and need some support. It's been really fun to watch her network grow. Alita Salas, she is fantastic. Definitely check her out. She's always on the edge of information. And
fantastic. Which leads me to you all the people you're saying, they're contributing to the community. And AI is taking a lot of jobs and whatnot. I know we're running out of time. How much of should we be worried that AI would do SEO work in the future, and for future people who, you know, the young ones that want to get into new creatives and
I think
digital
that there
work.
was a lot of fear of that at first.
Yeah.
I think what we're learning about AI is that it helps us make more in-depth decisions, but it doesn't always speed up our work, right? And so there's been a big thinking that we could reduce workforce sizes just by AI.
Yeah.
As we all know, we need to fact check our AI. We need to sometimes copy edit it, give it that last review. We have to question it. We have to do modifications. We have to refine our prompts, right? All of these things take additional cycles, and we're being asked to now weigh even more complex factors. And so in reality, I don't think that we're going to see the demand really lower. I think that people that understand the landscape are going to be in higher demand, and that there's going to be more and more people asking, how can I understand this landscape and how can I make it make sense for me?
A sage reply. That is very, very, very insightful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming to the
Thanks for
show.
having me.
Hopefully we can have another round. There's so many more questions. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below, and I'll put your information there.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
for coming. Thanks.